right. Welcome. I'm gonna
Thank you.
make this a little bit bigger. Welcome to Tell Your Story to Lori. I'm here with Lisa Flemino Rush, also of knewlightstreaminglove. And Lisa, why don't you tell us a little, like talk a little about what yourself, your story a little bit in depth, and then we're going to kind of match it up to what I can see pop out at me in your birth chart.
Oh, okay. Oh, how fun. Let's see. So I was born into a very religious family. We were Jehovah's Witnesses. So I have to say, from birth through age, well, 18 is when I left Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm going to say about age 16, I started to see holes in the religion. So I would say I'm a very serious, um, spiritual person. Now, I'm not necessarily religious because I had issues with a lot of the dogma of religion, but
Hmm.
I have an innate desire, a very strong one, to find my creator and connect. So I would say that defined my childhood. And which then in turn made my childhood rather difficult in that I had a hard time bonding with people because I found people to be very surface oriented and I was not at all. And I had more questions than answers. And so I've kind of been this seeker my entire life. Um, and so as an adult, I chose to leave Jehovah's Witnesses and I waited till I was 18 to make that decision. It took several years of deprogramming myself
Yeah.
to rid myself of the dogma attached to Jehovah's Witnesses. And so ever since then, I have sort of been striving to make sense out of my life and life here on planet Earth because it just seemed to me nothing here made any sense on any level. And so I felt like my whole life, my goal was to make sense of the nonsense here. And so I would say that I am still doing that. So I just turned, well, I will turn 56. I was going to say I just turned 55 last year. Um, in November, as you can see, my birthday there is coming up November 13th. And I would say now I am really honing that self-awareness piece. And so that piece is in and motivates and propels everything I do today from that space of my strong desire to know myself. And then also, I have a desire to share. And when I was younger, it was stronger than it is now because I used to want to shake everybody and say, there's deeper meaning to life. Why don't you care about that? I don't do that anymore, but I am now finding that I magnetically attract those who have the same desire to get to know themselves and to understand the true meaning of life, like why we are here. I feel driven to find that out. To
Well, and here we are talking about it. Absolutely. This chart, it seems a little bit off. I was just looking at it because the one I've got over here, you're a Virgo rising, yes?
yes.
And this one's got you as a Libra rising with a sun sign Sag. So something's weird. See how that's like sun sign
Yeah.
Sag?
So what do we have? Let's
I
look at
don't
the
know.
data.
We're
Maybe
gonna
there's
go back.
something
We're gonna go
off.
back to the data as we share the internet's free sites. All right, additional tables. Let's see. Oh, so weird.
Is it the kind of chart? Because it looks like my birth data is correct.
Yeah, I think it might be, but I just let me see drawing. Let's see. Of course, they want it. What we could do is we could always just go back to where I'm. We can keep this up as somewhat of like a template. It's not completely far off because you do have like obviously Libra's your second house. I think it's a house situation off, but the moon and the time perhaps. Oh, it might be sidereal. Hold on. Let's move this over here. Chart selection. Keep talking while I do the chart change. About
Okay.
I love that, because I think that's where we're all marching towards, is that it's the time, the beat, the change. And I noticed when I was looking at the other chart, as I have to change this, is that you do have a Saturn conjunct your moon in Aries. You also have the North Node in Aries. We're in the North Node of Aries right now. You've got
Okay.
Saturn return coming up in a couple of years.
Yes.
So this is like, again, prep work, all of this, beat work towards more,
Right.
always more. I think it's just more of what? Better and better. We're all getting better and better. We're opening up more and more, higher up the vibrational scale. Okay, so
Yeah,
here's
I would agree with that. I think collectively, the openness that we have here is unprecedented. Like it's it's almost shocking to my system how many people are awake and aware and care um, about just making these discoveries versus when I was younger. And I really felt like humanity was doomed at different parts of my life. But now I feel super hopeful. I feel very excited about my future. And I am just learning more about myself than ever before, like fast and furious. So it feels to me that the universal energetics, if you will, are really supporting this deeper dive into self, not just for me personally, but for humanity as a collective. I think it's time for us to remember ourselves and put our um, galactic aspects, if you will, into a focal point of our focus and attention so that we might bring ourselves back to wholeness within. And I think from that space, we're all going to create a really beautiful, brand new reality. And I feel like it's taking shape around me right now.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the chart here. That was obviously I couldn't figure it out.
Yes,
Why
that's
waste time
okay
there?
because I have
You
mine
have
in
your own
there.
chart. Good. Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
on my app.
Awesome. So the way it looks here is that Saturn being conjunct the moon in Aries, as well as the North Node being in Aries for you, all being in the eighth house, is that Scorpio house where your sun is actually in, right? It's kind
Mhm,
of more, I think it wouldn't be a direct opposite, but it would be more of an in conjunct with your sun, Neptune, which is your sun and your Neptune are conjunct, right? So that
mhm.
in itself is amazing. And well, again, you have that now that we're here, the vision is like opening up. So it's in Scorpio. To me, it says, okay, so now the deep dark depths are coming up, and I get to
Yes,
see and everything I've been observing and like what do you call that? Marinating in for years and years and years starts to come to fruition. Now, like the exciting work can really like more exciting work can begin. New layers of work are kind of undoing. And
yeah.
like I go back to the Aries with the North Node being in Aries now that we're all going through this 18-month conjunction start 18-month transit starting back in July. So this is the time. I mean, think about what's all kind of culminated since then. What we're even doing right now is part of this culmination. What we talk about in book club is culmination. All the energies are culmination, even when we have to be drained and take some time out for ourselves, you
Mhm.
know, with what we're being intuited to be driven towards. It makes a lot of sense in your chart to make complete sense. And the fact that you've got the Chiron at a 25 degrees of Pisces right there in your seventh house,
Mhm.
it's it's like you understand how the relationships are transforming. It's a later degree. I would say if it was an earlier degree, it might be a different story in the seventh house,
Mhm.
just from my intuition. I don't know why. And Jupiter in the 12th house in Virgo,
Mhm.
I mean, it's an expander. So you're expanding the spiritual house 3 degrees, bringing memory into awareness for other folks. I mean, aren't you channeling to see these are the things that we bring
Yes.
into fruition, right?
Right,
Amazing.
right.
And the Pluto conjunct, you could say within six-ish degrees, almost if you're rounding up, conjunct Uranus in your first house. You're bringing a lot of the things that are the underworld journeys into light unexpectedly, in unexpected ways. You
Oh,
deliver that. And then you have Libra, excuse me, Libra in the second house, 3 degrees, another 3 degree. You're all about bringing the memory in, and you've got randomness. I love this from the invisible garment. And that's in that Neptune, or is it? Mm, I guess we'd have to round it up to 24. It's humility. 25, 6. Okay, so also when we talk about the sun and the moon being conjunct,
hmm.
they're conjunct in early degrees, six
Okay.
and 7 degrees. The 6 degrees being I believe it's, I know 7 is generosity. I think 6 degrees is regeneration.
Ah, that's interesting.
So it's ascending principles. So bringing, worth, or I'm sorry, earthly principles up into the human is what your conjunctness in what you're responding to, which makes complete sense. It's like you're the earth mother, but you're also the spirit. It's like, but with that action in Scorpio, it's very spiritual as well. Like you just present as like people want to listen to you. Here, I'm making this food for you. Here, I'm going to deliver this for you. Because you also deliver in Virgo, Earth. You're delivering Earth. Kind of like sometimes when there's a Cancer rising, they deliver nurturing as well. They want to feed everybody. Sometimes I see that in a Virgo rising too. They just want to, especially you've got 8 degrees, so that's goodness.
Yeah, that's so true. I have to say, I was just telling Sheila a little story recently. Um, it was all these old stories are bubbling forth. And I don't know if,
Three
it's my
degrees.
chart pressure or what. But I've been revisiting things from, around, I'm going to say circa 2009, maybe 2010, when I was attempting to do what we're doing now with the new um, light streaming love umbrella,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, with another set of friends. And back then, what I really brought to the table was food. And my friends said, "You're the best at the home and hearth." So everyone would gather at my house, and I could create a safe place that made everybody feel they
Yeah.
were at home. And my cooking was really important to me because I was actively infusing my own love and passion for food and the people I was feeding, and I was
Yes.
marrying that passion with the food. And I noticed that people could taste it or sense it because I was asked to pass along my recipes, and I don't have recipes. I cook intuitively and I use my nose a lot. Like as far as spices go, I have to smell them. And if it smells right for the dish and the moment,
Hmm.
people, then I'll get a big hit within my body. And so here were my friends sitting with paper and pen trying to record my recipes, and I was actually cooking at the table with them.
Amazing.
And when they were asking me, well, how much, what was that? How many this and that? And I was like, I don't know. So this is where I connect with my intuition and I allow my creativity to be set free and to guide me, motivated by the love to feed and nourish the group, right? And so
Hmm.
instead of it being a cooking tutorial, by the end of this conversation, we had given birth to this idea of creating social media that did the same purpose, fed the soul and
Yeah.
nourished and
I love that.
yeah, allowed everyone to feel loved. Well, I find it very interesting that that moment is coming full circle now because so many things that took place then that I learned about myself, I'm now actively using sort of in a more conscious manner. And that dream is being realized today with a new set of friends and circumstances. But I just find that very interesting. So I don't know
Well,
if that's reflected in the chart or
it
anything,
absolutely,
but
well, it's what's reflected in the chart. Remember, we talked about your North Node being in the Aries, leading visionary in this Aries North Node. Aries is the head, Aries is the beginning, Aries is the
okay.
baby, Aries is the first, Aries is the solo, the lone wolf, right? That
Hmm.
not always, but these are archetypes of the Aries.
Sure.
Your North Node being there, obviously the South Node will be in Libra. Well, Libra is the first house of the we all. Like after we move 1 through 6, it's I am to that we in the seventh house, right? It's because relationships are the seventh house. So in your chart, you start have like a lot of your action hovers over, and I think you know because you have your chart there, but we'll like I'll show it
Yeah.
here. So I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody can see with
It
that
disappeared for a
weird
second
background. Yeah,
there.
a
Oh,
little
there
bit.
it is.
Yeah. So
Yep.
up here at the top,
Hmm.
you see how it's pointing to the top?
Yes.
That's the Aries, but at the bottom is where the Virgo is. So you've got your quadrants of the individual, the
Okay.
the psychological, and then it's pointing towards the philosophical. So as you've worked out things, as you've understood things, as you've created dishes, entertained people. I mean, you've got your Mars in the fifth house. That makes sense about entertaining. So, but it's in Capricorn. So you're going to do it like, like you infuse it well, but like you're going to do successful things with your food because Capricorn, they like to do successful things. They like to like think of a sea goat. They like to climb the mountain and then jump off the mountain just because they can, into
Yeah.
the sea. That's it's like I'm just going to do it because I can and it's going to be great. Like that's just what I do. And that's like when even that would kind of play into the physical smell sense, being your Mars represents the physical body,
Hmm.
and you being able to like sense that within what you're doing as tuning into your process here. And the other thing is that North and South node being in the second and eighth house. We talk about how we do things with our resources or with other people's resources. The North Node is now popping into the eighth house for you, right? Well, it'll be right when you have your Saturn return. Oh, will it still be there? Yes, because you're turning 56
Hmm.
now. Yeah,
Yep.
this is the
Mhm.
return here for this is the time that your North Node is returning. You have a 27-degree North Node, but it backs into it. So I think it's
Okay.
probably kind of hovering right now. So it's happening pre your Saturn return, massive
Yeah.
like movement, like where this is like, can you feel the energy? Use this Aries energy to change things. And having that Aries moon, I have the Aries moon, I understand that I'm straight up Aries. Using this Aries energy to expand self and not always look to the relationship to do it, but the houses here denote that you're using the placements of other people and their resources right now. Not using, but
Yeah.
like this is the way you're going to do it. Probably before it wasn't like that. It was maybe flipped,
Yes.
or in a different type of position. It changes every 18 months.
No,
It
it
wasn't the right
was.
time.
Yes.
It wasn't the right timing for you, but you learned so many new things during that frame about yourself that you're able now to pull it in at the absolute perfect time for you to start doing that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We've matched like just think about all the matches and the energy. When I tell other people this, that they don't get it, like somebody was telling me about like a placement of a car ornament, of like this is what this means. And I hadn't even thought about that because it just didn't cross my mind. And I was like, well, that makes sense because that's your sun sign and that represents the sun sign that you are. And they're like, oh, great. Oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this would have been so great if you resonated with this energy, but since you didn't, like other folks are being drawn to understanding that we're here for a blueprint purpose. And if we in tune best to ourselves, which means for me, and again, we go back to the therapy, self-care, right? Making sure that you're getting the sleep, making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that you're clearing your channels, that you're being expressive, that you're able to take care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. Not a lot of folks are doing that, whatever that takes. Sometimes it's exercise, it's expression. You're here to show how to express, like Aries express. You're here to like, here's my moon, let's do it, people.
Oh,
It
wow.
makes a lot of sense to me.
I love the way you brought that forth, but you're making me think of the first part of my life, like so when I was 28, I was entering my first solar return, and I was getting married to Albert at that time. And we were having Jasmine also at the tail end. So at the beginning, I meet him, and at the tail end, Jasmine's born.
Hmm.
So during that time, I was really the go-getter. Like I was extremely independent. And, he left his state, moved into my state, my home, my life. And for a while, I was the sole supporter. It didn't take long for him to find work and get established, but in the beginning, it really was still just me driving everything forward. And then slowly over the course of our marriage, we have, blended roles, like we've switched them off. Different times he would take over one role, and then later I find myself taking it over, and I had a role, and then later he would take it over. And what's interesting is now, so our early fights or disagreements were about who does what, because I was used to taking care of myself and doing things. And well, so is he. But also, I did sort of the rather masculine things. I bought my furniture and put it together, stuff like that. And so when we were buying furniture and putting it together, for instance, I wanted that role all to myself. Like I'm the best at it, and so I should be doing it. And he was also presenting with the same argument. So as you could see, we were clashing quite a bit there. And now I feel like I have softened and accepted my role as sometimes not the leader, like not the number one, not the one everybody follows, but allowing his ideas or my daughter's ideas. And now, of course, I have Sheila too in my family
Yes.
circle. And I'm allowing the resources of everyone else's here to set precedent, and then me working with what's here instead of me dictating what's here or directing what's here. And I know at one time in my life that would have made me feel
It's a
extremely
transition.
uncomfortable, but right now, I'm really embracing it. And I feel like it is taking me to the next level by like just
Yes.
sort of surrendering to it and allowing what comes to me to be what I'm to work on and to transform within
Well,
me, if that makes any sense.
it absolutely does. Okay, so so we know that the rising, okay, so we're also I'm gonna let you know that. Got about 8 minutes left. I haven't upgraded yet, but I will tell you this is very exciting. The rising, is the horizontal horizon, right? But the vertical, the IC, the midheaven. So if your midheaven's in Gemini, right? But there's nothing going on, like there's no planets that are pulling you in that direction. So you're free to create what you want in your purpose. So it doesn't seem like there's much holding you back in that area that you would
Mhm.
have to work through. But there's the other stuff over here in the philosophical house that's to like pull through. And at the bottom, Sagittarius with the IC and like the having a descendant in Pisces, it would denote that you already know it, like you've already done energetic work previously in other, dimensions, realms, lives, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And so you're bringing it forth to transform it quickly throughout that time here. Learn, when you're younger, and then to bring it forth so you're able to work well in like the bring the beauty to the group. I mean, you have a Venus and Libra in the second house that then kind of crosses over that south node also, which also would point towards this is what we've already done. The south node in Libra, I've already understood how to bring beauty myself. Now I'm going to help others and show them how to bring it through their resources. I'm going to join their resources with my resources. We're all going to do this in conjunction. And then the sun being conjunct Neptune in your third house, you're going to do it locally and beyond, but like from local. Like,
Yes. I
and that's
start
like
where I
in
am.
the Gemini third house of like communication and locality. But the broadcast, I think, being so conjunct with Neptune there, then it splits right back up to the moon and your north node. It's going to be like boom, this is going to go everywhere. I don't know. It reminds me of like a satellite dish. Your chart reminds me of like the bottom portion of like a satellite dish, and then everything shooting from it towards like this Aries notion that we're doing. And I think also in my perspective, and I'm sure there's other people, but this is what I feel. The moon is really the ruler of us, the reactions of us, right? So if we go that, yeah, the sun it comes around once a year
Yeah.
to the position, but the moon, our moon positions come twice a month,
Right.
like clockwork. And
No
so with it
question.
hitting that north node, yeah, and the rising position happens every day.
Right. Oh,
I
wow.
get to be this like mean streak Scorpio 29-degree rising person on or every like I guess one would call it the RBF phase.
Okay.
you know, whatever, you know. But I'm like, oh, smile more, show your teeth. That's why my mother used to say that. That's a phony smile. I'm like, I'm trying my hardest. I'm like, yes. I think at some point I want to get all of us on like and get all of our charts together and mesh them all together and see where like
Right.
all of that leads because I have a
See
feeling
this
it
synergistic way that we work
creates like a
together.
big star or something. I have a feeling with it the way it's working because it's amazing because there's components to all of us that match up here and there, but not everywhere. So we're like,
Yes. Oh, I'm seeing stone soup. Um, I
yes,
cared for a little
yes.
girl who was
I love that
in
story.
stone soup play when she was, like 4 years old in preschool. And I'm really the lady who can, throw a stone in the pot and
Mhm.
take whatever everybody's gifts and their offering and put it together and synergize it into something really tasty and nourishing.
I
And
love that.
that's what we're doing. I feel like, collectively, we're all bringing our little gifts to the pot and we're creating the best of ourselves to nourish one another.
That is like one beautiful metaphor you just used. I love that.
Yeah. Oh,
Or
how
is it an
fun.
analogy? We'll never know. But anyway, but
I'm
this was
so
so
happy
much
to
fun,
be here.
Lisa. Thank you so much for coming and doing this with me. And as
Thank
we grow and
you.
expand, I'm very excited. Yes, you can always tell when I'm excited. And I haven't had that much coffee.
Yeah. Well, please include me when you do the one where you put us all together
Oh,
and see what that looks
absolutely. You're
like.
you're core four. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Woo! Thank
Well,
you so
thank you so much again. This has been another little moment with Lori. Thank you for talking with me. I
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Take
Lori.
good care. I'll see you very soon.
Yep. Bye.